Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 4089. Today's date is June 7, 2026. It's been almost like a night at 10:43 p.m. All right, so let's just jump to the question. All right, let's go. All right, so question is, how will model improve without data storage? Oh, okay, that's a really good question. Okay. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? I wanted to build an application called My Artifact. What exactly is this application? When you write the diary every single day, you cannot able to be write the diary the way that you want it to. The reason is that ki, uh, because of your thought process is actually much more faster than your writing speed. First of all, why does thought process are much more faster? Well, thoughts are always faster. Okay, like the way that you talk is like imagine the way that you talk is much more faster than way that you write. Like basically within a minute you might talk probably like 100 200 words. Okay, but within a minute you might write maybe 10 or maybe 15 words max to max. Okay, so because of this thing your thoughts is actually much more faster than your write. Okay, why does writing is slower? Your writing is slower is because of you need a pen, you need a paper, you need a convenience, and even after that you need to put a lot of effort to print your thoughts. But even after that you cannot able to print it because the maximum word that you could write is hardly 10 to 15 words within a minute, maybe 20 words. Okay, or maybe 30 words. Okay, but the way that you speak is much more faster, so your thinking, your thought process is actually much more faster than your writing speed. And because of writing is a kind of like a very effort driven task, that's why very less people are kind of like writing a diary nowadays. Like less people means almost negligible. No one writes a diary. But what if instead of writing a diary, what if we could record a diary? Like audio record a diary. Okay. The stuff that you are kind of like listening right now, this is my artifact. It is my diary, my audio diary. Okay. I call that artifact, my artifact. My artifact episode number 4089. I am doing this thing for past 11 year. I am doing this thing every single day. Because of writing a diary is a self reflection process, same as recording a diary, same as recording an artifact. The amount of value that I get from this artifact, I wanted to share this value. Like literally just like that, and the amount of value that I get from the artifact is like incredible. Like the person that I became today, the person that I will become tomorrow, it is all because of artifact. And I wanted to share this value to the people. How do I supposed to be share this value? By building an application. My application means my artifact is somewhat something like a YouTube platform. In a YouTube platform, you actually upload your video. Other people kind of like a sees your video. Same thing, you actually upload your artifact in my platform. Other people kind of like a listen your artifact. There is only one thing catch is that your privacy is always hidden. No one knows your name, things and that. Like your real name, like my real name is Saurabh Bauthare, but my profile handle name would be Prozac 1943 or something else. Before I wanted to build this application, I wanted to know all the possible consequences, specifically worst possible consequences. So I went to ChatGPT and tell my idea regarding about my application, and also tell him that he suggest me hundreds of all the possible consequences that might gonna happen, so that I would be aware of that. Okay, ChatGPT kind of like suggest me hundreds of all the worst possible consequences in question format. This is one of those question. Now the question is that ki wait okay the question is that ki how will model improve without data storage? Okay, so wait, let me click here, then click here, then okay. All right. Okay, how will model improve without data storage? Okay, what's the model improve? What exactly is this thing? Okay, so basically is this thing that key model improve means like that key it suggests that key AI model improve. Okay, what exactly is this thing? What is actually AI? Okay, yeah. So let me tell you one thing. Okay. When you record the artifact, okay, whatever the whatever the whatever you record in the artifact, it is really essential for me to judge your artifact. Okay, why why do you need to kind of like a judge people's artifact? Okay, it is because of that na ki I wanted to make the community as much as clear, as much as better. Okay, let me tell you something. Okay, yeah, I am giving the kind of like a opportunity so that you could talk anything that you want, and obviously your name will not gonna reveal. Now can you imagine how many people will kind of like utilize this opportunity for wrong purposes? So many people, so many people will kind of like utilize artifact for very very wrong purposes. They will gonna talk shit, they will gonna talk about sex, they will gonna talk about kind of like a harassment, they will gonna talk about kind of like some hate speeches, religious speeches, politics, whatnot. Okay, and this is what is it. Okay, yeah, because when kind of like a the kind of like interruption is a kind of like a very easy, very convenient, then people are kind of like a talk so dirty. Okay, like so dirty, like literally so dirty. Because I also experienced this thing. I've been recording artifact for past 11 years, and I do talk dirty too. Like I do record artifact so dirty that I just can't really like I'm really ashamed of the stuff that I said. So basically is this thing that key I did this thing. Why not people do that thing? Definitely they will gonna talk something sex story, they will gonna talk something like a so many stupid shit. And how much effort they really required to put? Nothing really at all. They just have to turn on the recorder and just talk about something. There is no edit, there is nothing really at all, just yeah. So imagine, let's just say a kind of like a something example. Okay, yeah. I'm kind of like giving the example this thing multiple times, but let's just say, okay, yeah, a particular person who kind of like a record an artifact regarding about how he kind of like a sex two girl at the same time. Okay, he kind of like a talk about everything that how is exactly happened, how things happen with much more kind of like a something much more kind of like a really good way. Okay, yeah. Now because of it's a sex story, okay, so people are wanting to listen that key, oh, what exactly happened, because people are really curious. Sex drive is a kind of like a really human are kind of like emotionally connected to, and emotionally connected to, and that's why they just kind of like somebody that key, they just kind of like listen and things and that. Like basically this thing, let's take a kind of like a simple example. The particular person who recorded artifact regarding about his sex two girl at the same time, he recorded artifact, published that artifact, more possible chances that this artifact went viral. Okay, yeah. Now, what will gonna happen if that artifact went viral? Now, let me kind of like tell you something what exactly happened. Now, if that particular person is actually did something like that, like actually he kind of like a somebody that he sex two girl at the same time and kind of like a record something like that. Okay, yeah. What exactly happened when other people kind of like a listen his artifact? They are influenced by this particular guy. Okay, and they will try to implement in the real life one thing. Okay, yeah. So because of that, whoever the people who kind of like listen his artifact, they like not everyone will try to do this thing, but in a million, maybe kind of like a 10-20 people kind of like do this thing. Okay, yeah. Now basically this thing, if such a people are kind of like doing such a thing, if they are getting consent, that is okay. But if they are not getting consent, then what they will gonna do? They will kind of like apply force, harassment and things and that, because like basically it's this thing that they kind of like a thing that that particular person who kind of like a sex two girl at the same time, why not I do that? So yeah, if we get the consent, okay. If we don't get the consent, then he might gonna do something very stupid shit. I know very less people kind of like do this thing, but still very less means like a like a basically it literally a crime. It literally a crime. Alright. And who is responsible for that crime? Who is responsible? The particular guy who kind of like a recorded artifact, that particular person? No. Definitely not. I am the person who is kind of like responsible for that. Why? Because this is my platform. People are talking shit. And because of my platform, this artifact went viral. And because of this thing, that particular person, guy, listen, influence, and do his criminal thing. So I am the kind of like responsible for that. And basically, and also I feel really guilty because I literally feel this is my responsibility. This is kind of like somebody I am spoiling. My platform is kind of like a spoiling the community. Okay, worse is not happen over here. Okay, yeah, worse is still continue. Okay, this is the one part of worst thing. Let me tell you the another part of worst thing. Okay, the particular person who kind of like a recorded artifact regarding about his sex two girl at the same time. Okay, now he might gonna did it in real life. Okay, yeah, maybe with the consent, whatever it is. Okay, and his artifact went viral. Okay, now because of his artifact went viral, he wanted that dude, like this topic is really good. Like I wanted to kind of like a record something like that again. So what do I supposed to do? Well, there is no one to kind of like tell me, so I would kind of like fake it. So this particular person is started faking in artifact. Okay, yeah. So he was kind of like completely he kind of like create another fake story that he went there, he did this, he did that, and did that. He didn't really did anything at all. He just kind of like fake it. Now what exactly happened? When you record the artifact, it's a kind of like when you talk to yourself. Important thing, the whatever you talk, you will become that particular person. So if you are talking about in a fake that you kind of like did this, you kind of like had sex with that particular girl and things and that, more possible chances that you might gonna do this thing in real life too. And this is also kind of like create a kind of like a criminal activity. Okay, and whatever the fake stuff he says, other people are kind of like influenced and they will also do this criminal activity. So basically the particular person who recorded the artifact regarding about this toxic, that particular person became toxic, as well as his audience is also became toxic too, which will kind of like create a virus in the community. Literally my platform will become a kind of like a people who kind of like do criminal activity over here. And this is the power of artifact. Let me tell you one thing. Sorry. Artifact is a kind of like a thing that whatever you said, you will become that particular person. Like basically, if you talk artifact about something like a physics or economics, then you will become a particular expert in economics, a particular person in physics, or particular person in chemistry or mathematics or things and that and that. If you talk something really good, higher chances that you will become that good person. But if you're talking something bad, then higher chances that you will become bad person too. Artifact is a kind of like a something that it depends on how you utilize. Because YouTube, Instagram, other social media platform, it does not really affect on person, but artifact does. Artifact literally it went into your thoughts, it went directly into your head. So this is kind of like a literally, yeah. So I don't want my platform should supposed to be kind of that's why I have to be judge artifact. Another question arise. Okay, basically I did mention my artifact, how you supposed to be judge your artifact. Yeah, like you actually mentioned that you actually judge your artifact, you judge your every artifact. How do you supposed to be judged? Like millions and billions of people will kind of like record the artifact every single day. How you supposed to be judge billions of artifact? Obviously not human. I have to be use AI. Okay, artificial intelligence to kind of like a judge the AI. But dude, do you really trust AI that kind of like a AI will kind of like a judge it very properly each artifact? Well, I think yeah. Okay, let me tell you one thing, it depends on who you are. Okay, like if you are already a particular person who completely against with the AI, sorry, I cannot convince you. Yeah, literally, because you already made up your mind that key AI is a dangerous and things and that I cannot convince you. Okay, I am the particular person who kind of like a use AI as a tool to improve my work efficiency, productivity and everything. Obviously AI might gonna make mistake, I have to be fix that mistake, but it's not really that I will kind of like a jump into the judgment and that AI is kind of like worse. Definitely not. AI will kind of like a judge every artifact. Okay, yeah. How the judgmental actually happening? Well, basically it's this thing, as I mentioned, that key AI will kind of like a judge the artifact, but AI will not entirely judge the artifact. Okay, people will also judge the artifact too. Okay, how is actually happening? Okay, so basically is this thing, every artifact episode is actually judged by two system. Okay, yeah, 30-70 ratio. 30% of the artifact judged by the AI, 70% of the artifact is judged by the people. Okay, I still not understand what is actually 30-70. Like like basically 30% will kind of like a listen and then 70% AI will not gonna listen. Is it? No, it's not. Okay, imagine a score. Okay, so basically what is actually happened, that key a particular person record an artifact regarding about something. They just say he recorded artifact regarding about that key like how he increased the productivity by kind of like a building habits and things and that. It's a really good artifact. Okay, so basically the particular person who kind of like a recorded artifact regarding about self-help, okay, personal habit and things and that. Now AI will kind of like a listen his artifact. Okay, it not listen, by the way, it is not really listen. Basically his artifact is actually convert audio into the text. AI will kind of like somebody read the entire text. Okay, yeah. And from that point of perspective, AI will kind of like a judge that key how much his artifact is really good for the community. Okay, yeah, good for the people, good for things. If that particular person talk about something really good, something really right, something really better, something really that key higher value and things and that, to much more kind of like a make the better humans and things and that. So basically AI means my AI, I usually name as Adam. Adam will kind of like give the score 10 out of 9 because this artifact is really good, really great. Okay, yeah. Now when that artifact will kind of like give 10 out of 9 score, that is only 30%. Okay, yeah. Now people will kind of like give the kind of like a judgment by how many people like, watch duration and things and that and that. From that ratio, it also kind of like give the judgment. So from the people point of perspective, they kind of like this artifact get almost like a, let's just say like a 5,000 likes, and 5,000 likes and kind of like a something like that key watch duration is kind of like almost like a 70, 60, 80%. Okay, so this is kind of like a higher really good chance that key people are kind of like a give really right, like a, the it's kind of like a somebody, the overall judgment from the people is almost like a 10 out of maybe 7. Okay, so Adam actually give 10 out of 9, people actually give 10 out of 7. So because of this thing, it kind of like a score as a kind of like a something, the overall score is a 10 out of maybe kind of like a 7. Okay, a 7 or 7.5 and things and that and that. 30% of the AI, 30% of the Adam score, and kind of like a 70% of the people. Okay, yeah. And because of this thing, this artifact will kind of like a something higher recommended chances. Like if the artifact have a kind of like a higher score, higher possible chances that this artifact will kind of like a recommend to the more and more people. Literally more and more people. Okay, more and more means like that na, like if that particular artifact will kind of like a recorded in English, higher chances that I will kind of like a recommend this artifact to the every people on the globe, every people, like basically like a millions and billions views will gonna get. Literally, yeah, this is I will gonna do, because the good artifact should supposed to be share more. Now what exactly happened when good artifact is actually share more? When the good artifact is actually share more, it add value to the community. A particular person who kind of like recorded regarding about how he kind of like improve his productivity by fixing his old habit, waking up every single day, morning and things and that and that. So basically he get the billions of views, and from that billions of views, millions will kind of like try to influence, and they will kind of like add value and things and that and that, and they will kind of like somebody do the influence to the other people and things. This is kind of like a cycle will continue. Like one particular person create something really good, other people kind of like a follow, other people kind of like a recorded, they also kind of like do the same thing. It's cycle will continue. I wanted to this good artifact cycle will always get continue. If you are kind of like a recorded artifact in English language, and you are kind of like a talking something really good, I promise you, you will kind of like a get millions and billions of views. Literally, yeah. Okay, but I'm not kind of like a promise you that there is a lot of things that should supposed to be depend regarding about your ethnicity, regarding about the way that you talk, regarding about the your accent and things and that and that. Obviously you could speak English, but let's just imagine that if you're speaking English like a basically middle style or Russian style, like my pocket little cool, like I don't know, like you are speaking English but your accent is a kind of like a bit more Russian, probably Mexican people does not really understand okay that you are English. Okay, like basically language barrier would be kind of like a little bit, but still this is thing that key it will kind of like a recommend to the more and more people. Okay, yeah. And bad artifact I will kind of like wanted to recommend less, and that's why I have to be judge every artifact by building an Adam. Okay, yeah. Now the important thing is that the how does Adam will kind of like a judge. Okay, like as I mentioned, like regarding about the kind of like looking at the community, how much it kind of like add a value, how much it impact to the community and things and that, right? Yeah, but how does AI, like basically Adam, like basically my AI name is Adam. Okay, Adam required a training data. Okay, how that training data came from? Like every AI that you know, Google use his entire cloud structure as a training data. ChatGPT use internet as a training data. Claude use internet as a training data. Okay, yeah. So basically you need training data, right? Obviously I will kind of like utilize internet to train my Adam. Okay, as well as I use people artifact to train Adam. Regarding about, okay, let me tell you one thing, what is that train? You don't really understand what is that the meaning of train if you're not really associated with the engineering background. AI is a kind of like a machine, okay, and machine is not kind of like a give you right and wrong. It does not know what is actually right and wrong. It really required a kind of like a structure way what is actually right and what is actually wrong. A human need to tell that particular AI that what is right and what is wrong. If the AI kind of like knows all the wrong thing, then AI will kind of like give you the wrong advice, like basically Grok. Okay, Grok is a AI which kind of like somebody train on Twitter, and in the Twitter platform people are kind of like a talk anything, like basically there is no restriction at all. So because of any restriction at all, Grok can kind of like give the abusive comment. Yeah, literally Grok can kind of like give you kind of like a fuck you things, like literally Grok can literally kind of like a said fuck you and things and that and that. Maybe this kind of like somebody, they might change that thing, they might kind of like add a little bit of violation regarding about that, but still Grok can able to do this thing because his training data is actually trained on that. But ChatGPT cannot do that. Like ChatGPT is a kind of like a do this thing, but they have kind of like a block all those kind of like a violation and things and that and that. Same thing with the Google, same thing with the Claude, same thing with the kind of like a things. But Grok is that whatever. So basically, it's this thing. I need a training data. Like if Adam has to be train on artifact. Which artifact? Mostly good artifact. Like I have kind of like I will have a kind of like a collection of kind of like millions of billions of artifacts of the people who are talking something really good and things and that and that. Adam train on that good data. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you one thing regarding about the how does Adam will kind of like a train. Adam, like I'm actually thinking that na, ki probably almost like a 80% of the training data is actually come from the good artifact. 20% of 20% of kind of like a something training data actually came from bad artifact. Okay, yeah. I'm actually kind of like a giving 80-20% ratio. Why? Because sometimes na kind of like a wrong thing are also really essential to understand what is really right thing. You cannot live like a wrong cannot exist without right cannot exist without wrong. Okay, yeah. So it really required Adam need to understand if it is right, then why it is right, because wrong is actually exist. Example, okay, like basically I break someone leg. Okay, like literally I break someone leg by hitting something or things and that. Like I have kind of like something that weapon or maybe kind of like somebody gun, and I would kind of like somebody like literally I kill someone guy. Okay, yeah. So for machine point of perspective, from Adam point of perspective, is it right activity or wrong activity? Obviously Adam does not know what is actually activity, what is actually right and wrong. Okay, yeah. So Adam, I have to be teach them that ki this is a right, this is a wrong. Like a killing somebody is a wrong thing. Okay, yeah, and not killing somebody is a right thing. Okay, but how does kind of like even if I'm trying to tell them, I have to be tell them what ki do not kill another person is a right thing, and killing the person is a wrong thing. If I just kind of like give them direction, do not kill that particular person because it's the right thing, then Adam does not know what is actually right thing because it does not know what's the wrong thing, because I didn't really kind of like give them information regarding about the wrong thing. Okay, so basically wrong thing are also really essential for kind of like a balance the right thing. Okay, yeah. So basically what is actually is this thing that na evil and angel does not live does not live like they have to be kind of like a live with each other. Okay, they cannot kind of like somebody separately, no, nothing at all. Angel lives in evil lives in angel too. This is what it is. The right and wrong thing is a kind of like a unseparable. You cannot separate. Okay, in human point of perspective you cannot separate, but machine point of perspective you can separate. But if the machine does not know what is actually wrong thing, then how does Adam or how does AI will kind of like understand what is actually right thing? Okay, so That's why I have this ratio. I'm not really sure regarding about that how much kind of like a ratio right now. I'm actually thinking that 80-20, but probably in the future I might change like maybe kind of like something like that ki, 60-40 or maybe 70-30. I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna make sure that ki concentration of good artifacts should supposed to be higher and bad artifacts should supposed to be lower. So that I would supposed to be train the Adam so that it would kind of like a judge very much properly and regarding about make my community, make my everything much more better and things and that and that. So this is what I am kind of like a try to build. Now regarding about the question is that ki how will model improve without the data storage? Dude, the question is kind of like completely different. I don't know, data storage model improve. Like I was kind of like focusing on just a model improve. How would I supposed to improve the model and things and that and that. Data storage, yeah, data storage are really essential, na? It kind of like take the data from server, right? I don't know. I'm not really sure about this thing. Whatever. This is it. I have to end here. Thank you.